Welcome to We Not For Sale.
We are not for sale.
It's your boy MK in the house. Hey, I need a new name because all y'all was listening to this shit and all y'all got like names. I need to come up with something just like it's your boy MK. Like I want to be like MK the Don, MK the King. I need a new name. So we got to come up with some shit. But we in the house this week.
How about Michael?
It's my government.
It depends.
My slave name, dog.
It depends on whatever you sell out to, whatever you've sold out to. That's what you should call yourself.
The dependence of.
Just call me the Archangel MK in the house. You like that one, don't you?
Yeah, that's nice. You should just go by a symbol. Actually, just figure out what symbol best defines you and your character.
Too Sick. What's up, dog? You in the house?
I'm in here. I was sitting next to my man, half a Lincoln lawyer, my good brother,
Jay.
Personal ed.
Man, I thank God that I was able to be connected with my brothers here. Jamers, what God took from me in height and girth, he definitely gave it to Jamers. So I'm happy that we here connected, making a whole, and I'm sitting next to the man, the myth, the legend, the one that goes by the name.
Oh, hey. That was a good one. That was a good one right there, Raymond.
Yes.
Let me hear that one more time. Oh, yeah. We in here.
Yeah.
That was the best.
Man, I'm so happy to have these two brothers back, man. Jamers.
Yeah.
Sure. Jai, welcome back, brothers. We miss you, man.
Appreciate it.
Peace and love to everybody out there. It's me, your boy. And I'm feeling great, man. Another blessed week. Got a lot accomplished. Very, very thankful to be in here today, man. Focus on these topics. And to my left, I have my brother, the great, the extraordinaire Estrada Fitness.
Hey, what's going on? It's Jay Estrada Fitness. I got my gallon of water right now.
Is that right?
I just got to keep the body hydrated. The water is definitely is the universal solvent, and I feel like that we all need our problem solved from time to time.
Amen.
So hold that water like it's your baby too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just filled it up.
Cradling the water.
Well, I got to make sure the water don't break.
Wow.
Hey,
shout out to my. Are we gonna call you MK? Or are we just gonna?
We gotta figure it out, dog.
I will say that over the last several weeks, I would like to thank everybody for listening. We've had some great reviews. Everybody gives props to MK. They give props to the Lincoln lawyer. Obviously, they love Ray's whistle. And but I think I heard one of the funniest things they said that Too Sick was like our Charles Barkley of the show. That was pretty dope.
Yeah.
Hey,
shout out to Too Sick Jamers.
It's funny. Like I've been thinking about something for like the past few weeks, and I wasn't gonna bring it up, but you mentioned like feedback and what people are talking about, and I just have to say this because we got some criticism a few weeks ago, and I just been holding on to it, and I was rereading what this young lady said to me.
Let it go, brother.
And I just want to put this out there, like this show is not for idiots. Let me say it again. It's not for you idiots. It's for you thinking people. We want you to understand something. We bringing you a service, but when we say something, fact check us.
Please do.
Fact check us.
Absolutely.
This show, these are our opinions. These are brothers sitting around and we have strong opinions about things. Now, we're not like trying to sit here and tell you we right about everything, but
Jason is.
Well, we do have some experts here. Like if it come to eating plants and working out and all that shit, I'm going to turn to this brother and anything that he says is probably going to be true.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
we got you
true.
over here. If we start talking about some legal shit, that is your profession.
Right.
So that shit is going to be legit. But when we sitting here talking our opinions, don't come at us talking about, well, you guys don't know what you're talking about and that's irresponsible for you to say that. This is a show based on opinions. So look it up, people. If you disagree, come on the show.
Yeah.
Don't bitch out. Come on the show. Let's talk about it.
Just hit us on the DM. We not for sale. You can get right to us. You know what I'm saying? We'll respond.
And a lot of these topics, based on how we started the show, we've had a lot of these topics just sitting around at a dinner table or, just us fellowshipping, period. So we kind of wanted to really give the audience an idea of of what we go through as men and some of the topics that we do discuss just in private alone,
and not too many brothers, especially of our caliber, of our reputation, not too many group of brothers will let you in on what their actual private group text message subjects are like. You know what I'm saying? Like, we literally talk about all these things all day long. And
90%, and we let
and all of us, man, we respect each other so much. We love each other so much, and we're all different. And I think that's what makes us who we are. But you're never gonna get anything less than our authenticity at all times, and we'll continue to serve you guys as we're serving ourselves, and as Ray said, as we're serving the Lord.
Absolutely.
But, we got to make sure that we just continue to keep it a buck. We're going to continue to raise the bar. We're going to continue to deliver A1 material at all times. Best effort, best outcome.
And that was big. That was big to hear that from Jason. But I do want to say, man, just from listening to the show last week, not being able to be here, man, that was a dope show. Shout out to you, brothers. And shout out to the our guest,
PJ.
John Coleman.
Alive and well.
Alive and well, and black.
And when I was listening to him, I say, you know what? This nigga's the true definition of what we not for sale is. He said,
man,
I
lost it all. That was some G.
I gave it all up and just told him to hell with it.
Yeah.
Like the church stuff. That's what he was talking about.
Yeah, he was very powerful brother, man.
Shout out to the brother.
John Coleman. Wherever you at, my brother, God bless you,
Hey,
man.
and he held y'all brothers to task, too. He was like, so who gonna do it? And y'all like, yeah, well, we are. No. Who gonna do it? I need answers. Which one of you is going, and how?
But
Yes, sir.
Me and Jay, we talk about that because I always mention at the end of the day, it's, like, what are you willing to do?
Right.
And when he said that, I just remember listening, like, damn, we had this conversation before. I'm glad he, basically just said, I stepped out and I just did it,
Right. And don't get it twisted. I want everybody to realize this. When we behind this microphone, we putting in work too. We touching somebody, and if people look at it as what you do, what you're doing in terms of, are you outside, marching? Are you donating money to schools and all that? You can do work in more ways than one. You can definitely make a difference in more ways than one. And we believe that the power of the voice, the frequency of our voice, the sound of our voice is definitely moving people in the right direction, especially since it's coming from us. Right. And we always going to make sure that we're not holding ourselves to anybody's standards but our own. And when you're faced with that same thing in your life, as long as you're passionate about what you do, everybody has a skill. But if you're passionate about that skill, everything that comes along with your peace, your inner peace, is going to transfer through your skill. And next thing you know, you open yourself up as a vessel for that to work through you to help the next person. So don't ever get it twisted. Everybody's making a difference at all times.
So tonight we're gonna we're gonna do another service for you folks. The last personal thing I got to get into, I just want to send a quick shout out to young MK, the Prince. I just made him a Prince. My baby boy turned 18 today.
Oh,
young
yes,
fella.
Yeah, he turned 18 today.
Happy birthday.
I told him, congratulations, man. You can go to the county jail now. You can go fight in the army, and in some states you can buy cigarettes. That's about all it means.
No states, actually. 21.
You can vote.
That too.
Hey, speaking of going to jail, how do y'all feel about A$AP Rocky being, let out for now, at least, until they figure out what they're going to do?
I'm happy as hell he out,
I mean, the whole thing is weird to me. I mean, if you go back to the beginning, it's like, when I examine the case and you check it out, it's like, how did he get hooked and booked out of all the chaos and the shit was going on over there? And the main dude who he was, getting into it with, the citizen, they said his ass free from the jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, ultimately, man, for any brother that's let out of jail, you want to celebrate, and you're happy for him and his family that he has some level of freedom, but the bigger situation or issue when it comes to this case, man, is just the way that we view laws versus the way that other countries view laws. So, just things like they don't have a bail system in Sweden, and, as liberal as a country they are, entertainers frequent that country and they love the way that we entertain. However, the things that we can do in the United States, you can't do there, so it's just, to me, it's
like
just
what besides bail.
Obviously beat a nigga up in the street on TV. Obviously.
What do you think about?
I mean, we have reality TV over here. Where we have reality TV where we prompt people to fight, and then we laugh about it, and security is there breaking it up. Then we have a reunion show, and they fight on there, and they break it up real quick. And these are subs and views that pay these people, but you just can't do that in other countries.
What do you think about how a lot of people they didn't really support him based off of the comments that he's made?
Old tweets.
Well, I think, there's always going to be a 50-50 variance in somebody wanting to see something happen to somebody and somebody not. I think, any young man that has his allure, his fan base, his skill set as an artist is to be somewhat controversial in terms of the things he says, and people, they're going to utilize the timing to bring that back up, to say, hey, he's in jail because of the past things he did. If that's the case.
No, I don't think you get what I'm saying. When he said that, when he was talking about the issues,
Ferguson.
The Ferguson issues, and how he said that these issues, they don't relate to him.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they were like, I remember having a conversation with a young lady not too long ago, and she said, based off of those comments that he said,
he deserved to be there.
That she felt like that he deserved to be there based off of those comments. And my thing is, we have to remember that mental illness, it's a wide range of it as far as age. Now, to say that he deserves to be there based off of an ignorant comment, I don't think anybody belongs in jail. I think that we have to also remember that he's young. He ran into a lot of paper.
Wait, which comment was ignorant? His comment about Ferguson was ignorant? Straight me out, or is her comment?
No. He made an ignorant comment about. I don't know. You can't quote me on it all the way, but I know it was something about how he said these. The Ferguson thing, and
it didn't affect him.
It doesn't affect him, or he's not affected by these things that are occurring. And a lot of people they didn't want to support him
because of that,
and they were upset. So it was a lot of people that was strong supporters of it, and it was a lot of people that wasn't, based off of those comments alone.
I just don't think you can go. You can't go back and say a person deserves to be jailed, or this should happen to them, or this should happen to that, based on statements they made. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But I think one of the bigger issues that I had with it is, G-Eazy had a situation in the same country where, he was charged with having drugs and some other crime, which is a jailable offense there, and they let him go with like a fine and a slap on the wrist. He didn't do any jail time. And even he came out and said that, I think this is racist. This is race related, that this man is locked up. But the bigger question is, I used to work on these shows, right? And they would give us like instructions on where to go and what not to do. You're in a whole different place. I was doing this one TV show, and the production would provide you with the sheet. And I remember I was going to Baltimore, and they said, don't cross this line right here. Oh, I crossed it. Mm-hmm. That's just because I'm black, and whenever I go into a city, I want to see what's popping in the neighborhood. I want to touch the people. And look, it was dope for me, but I wouldn't recommend other people of other colors in the production to do it. Hell, they could have beat me up. But
it's powerful, man.
I went through, and I was over there hanging out, and this shit was like a rap video, but it was straight, because I was like, damn, they filmed The Wire here, and I went and got some bomb-ass seafood.
Right.
But I'm just saying, doesn't your team kind of let you know, look, we're going to a new country.
He's definitely.
These are the things, this is that, this and the other. You can't get into shit. You got to be smarter about that kind of stuff.
You got to be smarter, but I would say when you're an artist, and like he obviously had the right to speak up and maybe defend himself, and maybe he knew, okay, I'm ASAP Rocky, and I'm signed to RCA or Sony. And if something happened to me, they got my back. So I feel like he obviously got vouched for, President Trump or Donald Trump or whatever you would like to call him. He vouched for him. He sent out, made some phone calls, sent out some words to the prime minister, whoever over at Sweden, and made things happen. Now the question is, if that was just a regular old person who who's somebody. Well, I mean, you talking about Sony. Sony's one of the biggest. They own everything. That's Sony, Standard Oil of New York. That's a Rockefeller company. They have invested a lot of dollars into ASAP Rocky. Mm-hmm. Now, if he was just a regular old dude who got into a fight, who the same thing happened,
right?
Would you see the type of push
be under
from the president?
He wouldn't have been harassed. Right. He wouldn't have been the subject of whoever's affection that.
Well, that's not true, because I was harassed. I've been in a different country. I've been harassed before, but I never thought like, okay, if I go hard on this dude, then the president ain't gonna back me up. That's what I'm saying.
That video that I saw,
it went viral because of who he was.
But it was like two parts. It was the part, and I didn't get to see a video that had a timestamp, so I don't know how long dude was following him before he got his ass whooped. But all of us are capable of flipping that switch after just so much poking.
Yeah, but I'm also capable of being intelligent enough to have a team that can handle that.
Case in point. Future. His bodyguard got knocked the fuck out. But what was Future? He walked away from the situation and said, I didn't know anything about it.
His team made sure that he was in a different vicinity.
Right.
To the point where he didn't have a clue about it, to the point where someone had to doctor up a video to make it seem as though he knew about it. And that's my whole point. When traveling abroad or traveling anywhere as an artist, make sure your team is intact.
And make sure they know some martial arts too. You can't be out here getting knocked out.
Yeah, I mean, don't turn your back. Don't turn. Yeah, he did get sucker punched because he was walking away with a hood on. I mean, after you just got into a confrontation, most of us wouldn't do that.
Tell him the rules, Ray.
Hey, God bless him. That's the rules.
Look,
I wish the best for him.
I got a trip coming up in 2 months to China. I don't even want to fucking go.
Yeah.
Because they don't fuck around over there. I don't even want to spit on the sidewalk, and I'm fucked.
Yeah. See, that's the difference when we go. Anyway. When we go to, it's so funny because like, I'm one of those people when I go to other countries, I'm terrified the whole time I'm there.
Right.
Because I don't know the law. I don't know how to move around and certain things. Like for instance, when I went to
Canada,
Toronto, I can't stand Toronto still from this day. Like, the way they treated me in Toronto was terrible, and I thought I was the only one.
Shout out to Toronto.
Shout out to Toronto, man.
We will not shout out Toronto.
It's a great place.
Ever.
Man.
We will not shout out.
I love Toronto.
That's good. That's good.
His experience was way different from mine. I'm like, I love Toronto.
I had a great time in Toronto, but I get it, Jamers.
I'm a real nigga, so I was in Toronto. So shout out for you. You half breeds or whatever the fuck you want to call yourself. Okay, I had issues out there being a real black man. Okay, you don't appear to be all the way a black man, and you're somewhat Cuban descent, and you just get a pass on being short. So
what about you? Yeah, I had a good time.
You went as a producer. It doesn't count. Your experience is not the same. Okay. However, me and I just spoke to someone else that had a terrible experience. Was my cousin Ryan Porter, who plays the trombone. He went out there to do a set with a young lady out there.
Shout out to Ryan, man.
Shout out to Ryan.
Shout out to Ryan. Shout out to Kamasi. Shout out to that whole crew,
man.
Hey.
He told me the young lady didn't even want to sit next to him and play her instrument. They had to do a song together. She didn't want to sit next to him. Okay? So I don't really give a fuck what these guys are talking about.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah. You guys are fucking scumbags, I'll tell you that. Fuck Toronto. And
Drizzy.
And we can bring Drake on, and I'll tell the nigga I didn't have a good time either.
Shout out to the team.
Man, but if you went back to Toronto with Drizzy,
I would never go back to Toronto,
even on Drake's.
But I think what James is trying to say is, when you can travel to other country, when you go to other countries, you got to keep in mind they may have rules that you can actually get caught shoplifting in certain countries, and they'll
Chop it off,
chop your hand
Bro,
off.
Yeah.
Toronto treated me fucked up from the first. Since I got off the plane, I was the only person that got searched extremely off the plane, and I flew first class.
But you have a lot of
Did
crevices.
you have on those Jesus pieces?
It does not matter what you have on. Out of the whole plane, out of the whole airport, I was in a area
it
where I was
does
the only
matter.
Hey,
person in
James,
there.
look, bottom line is with that stomach, they thought you were carrying something extra. All right? They thought you tucked something away in that shirt.
Did you have on the designer glasses and a Rolex, James?
Is that a crime?
Yeah, it is.
Apparently in
Yeah.
Toronto.
Is that
Yeah.
a crime?
Yeah.
I don't think
You know
it's
what
a
I'm saying?
crime,
How
but
about-
I do think you have to understand what to expect. You can't like walk on Slauson and Bryanhurst and red chucks and be like, why these niggas want to fuck with me? Because I got on red chucks. I should be able to wear some red chucks with some red
Well,
laces.
unfortunately, my friend, I wasn't
out to the
on
homie Red
Slauson
Chucks.
and Bryanhurst. I was in Toronto Airport, okay? And this happened in the airport. And
They
also,
got signs that say, keep that
you know
nigga
what?
shit in
Hey,
America.
listen, man, we need to get out of the whole idea that, you know, a person like yourself, Jamers, young millionaire, to express yourself the way you want to express yourself.
Thank you, Reverend.
Just got a brand new home, you know.
Thank you,
Just got a nice pool in the back. I mean, there's a lot that comes with that, champ. To whom much is given, much is required.
Oh, there we
Tell you
go.
what.
As free as you are to represent yourself how you want to be represented, places and people are free to dislike how you
Yeah.
represent yourself.
that is true. But at the end of the day, I got the mentality of knowing that people where I come from don't go to Canada.
Shout out to my partner Shaheen Karalia. He done showed me love in Canada. I love Toronto.
Why you keep shouting out these niggas
because
in Canada?
that shit was great. It was great. 2 times.
It just sounds like your team didn't prepare you for going to another country.
My team was getting harassed.
He didn't consult
You know what
with
I'm
his
saying?
team.
He didn't consult with his team.
And let me tell you something. These guys wore Laker jerseys to a day party, and they told them you can't wear the jersey. But then they let in like 15 other people with Toronto jerseys, and some of them had DeMar DeRozan jerseys on and shit like that. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with Magic Johnson
They
in
don't
Toronto?
want niggas
Shout
that
out to
look
DeMar
like
DeRozan.
you or me.
Shout out to DeMar
I had that
DeRozan.
same situation in New York. It's like they come up with these barriers because they don't want your kind in this place.
And they let it be. Look, your son had a hard time there, regardless if the nigga want to admit it or not. I don't know how many times I heard, we don't do this like this. Go back to the States. They had no idea that they were talking about them.
Hey, my light-skinned friend next to me talked about charisma and how important it is to keep that with you at all times. And obviously, my big friend, you didn't have charisma.
Yeah, you gotta
with
have
you.
charisma, James.
First of all, that nigga's halfway. He's mixed. He can appear to be mixed in any country.
Hey, man.
Okay, and you're Cuban descent, so you don't.
Hey, you
don't.
need to
You don't
stop-
have the same issues that I have. Okay, so let's. I'm talking about
Very true.
I'm talking about a man that looks real black.
Hey, but
You don't look real black.
I look
my
real
man.
black. I
No,
look
no,
black
you
enough.
don't.
This nigga
No, you
talking
don't.
about he brushed his hair
Hey,
with
my
coconut
mom
oil.
and dad from Parma Lee, I say that with
That don't
facts.
mean nothing,
I'ma
nigga.
tell
You
that
look
right now.
mixed
He
in any
definitely-
country.
It don't matter,
And what,
though.
what,
Still
what
got
was
the
what
baby
happened
hair
to
popping.
Hey.
Remember Donald Sterling? The girl said, "Hey, you said you like what's he said Matt Kemp because he doesn't look like the rest of the black guys." Over Magic Johnson, he doesn't. He's a light skinned guy. Remember how she was selling it to Donald Sterling?
As Tusick does his Asian
Too
accent.
sick.
That's
Too sick
doing
with the
his-
multiple Asian
What are we
voices.
doing here?
Hey, that's what she said,
I'm
right?
trying to figure out. All of his accents kind of sound alike.
They all sound kind of close.
Hey, I want to switch reels for a minute here because my brother Jai been going for a minute, bro. We talking about traveling. Where you been? What you been doing?
Oh, man, I was in New York City, New York, for the National Bar Association conference, annual gathering of black attorneys. The National Bar Association was founded in 1925. They did not allow black attorneys into the American Bar Association. And so I was just sitting at one of the events. There was events amazing every night. Shout out to the New York contingency because they really set it out for us. even though my Uber bill was like $600, my food bill was like $150. But considering, $60 a night for parking plus rental car fees, that wasn't that bad for 8 days.
Bro, you got to grab taxis. You in New York. Just step out and be like.
I did that.
Yeah,
and
that's how you do it.
When I paid $20 for less than a mile, I went back to Uber. So, but it was just great, man.
We got
having
the
that
short
safe
end
space.
of the stick.
Man, we just gonna keep. That was good. Hey, I seen Ray Cousin in Spanish Harlem too. Out there, whole bunch of Raymonds walking down the street. But man, it was just dope. I got to do a show on public television out there, discussing the 13th Amendment, and it was just a lot of great information.
Which one is the 13th Amendment?
The 13th Amendment is the amendment that allows for slavery if descendants of American slaves are convicted. It's wrongly taught to our children and our adults that it's the amendment that abolished slavery, but it did not abolish slavery, just changed it to where the slave master is now the government. And so when you look at situations like California, where black men, 3.3% of the population, state population, 27% of the state prison population, and that being 30,000 extra men, and then CDC, California Department of Corrections, having like one employee for every 2 inmates, and now you have 30,000 extra black men, you're talking like 15,000 extra employees. So the slave master is the state. That's who the taxpayer is paying. That's who benefits from this over mass incarceration. So that's my number one issue, and I was able to narrow that down and, just talk to people. Had a wonderful event at NBC Universal. They showed us love. Google was there. Facebook was there. We had a great discussion.
All the slave masters.
Yeah, well, whatever. But we had a great discussion on AI and face recognition technology. They trying to get these body cams with face recognition technology, but the problem with the face recognition, they don't do their research like with black people when they're creating the AI. Therefore, they did a test with the members of Congressional Black Caucus, and their facial recognition technology said that like 80% of the Congressional Black Caucus had felony convictions based off their technology. And that's the thing about AI. So now you're allowing the cop to walk around with this, and now they get a hit on MK because some dude that looked like MK got a warrant. Now MK getting tackled down to the ground and arrested
in front of his family.
In front of his family.
That was MK to Don, not MK to King. So yeah, we switched that up.
Yeah, well, either way, that nigga was on the ground in handcuffs trying to explain he don't have no warrants.
Right.
So Jai, explain this to me since you bring this up. All right, just for our listeners, in case you encounter this situation. Mistaken identity. Police pull you over, pull you out, run up on you, slam you on the ground, put you in handcuffs, put you in the back of the car, verify that it's not you. What rights do we have? Do we have legal injunction? Can we sue? What do we do?
Well, it all comes down to the reasonableness of that encounter. If it's like all the license plates numbers were the same except one was an I and one was a 1, and you just happen to have the same hairstyle and same color of clothing as the suspect they're looking for in the same kind of car. Now, when would that situation happen, right? Never. But that's what you look at. Like if it's just a black dude walking down the street with a black shirt, and there's your suspect is like 5'10", brown skin, black shirt, blue jeans, and this dude's 6'3", brown skin, black shirt, blue jeans. That's general enough. A lot of people have on black shirt, blue jeans. So in that situation, I think it's reasonable for the officers to at least question who you are, where you're from. But when they handcuff you and restrain you in that way without doing that investigation, I think that is negligent, and I think that is a violation of your right against unreasonable search and seizure. Therefore, you can sue under, it's called 1983 claims, civil rights claims, under civil rights.
So your advice, if an officer were to come up to anybody and ask for your ID?
Depending on the circumstances, I'm not with giving up any rights typically. And if an officer does come up and ask for your ID with no legal justification, then you're waiving your right against unreasonable search.
So is it reasonable to ask them, why are you asking me for this ID?
Yeah, it's completely reasonable, or it's completely reasonable to say no.
Right.
Just flat out. And that's what I would like more of us to understand, is that, regardless of how forceful these questions may be, like, can you give me your ID? Like, no, I can't. And now if they're now forcing you to, now you're seized. And now they need some legal justification for that. So, but, is everyone willing to take that step to go to federal court every time they're asked for their ID? That is the question. And that's, it's very much time consuming. Maybe if everybody did it, there would be some change, but I doubt it.
So check this out. I want to read something to you guys and just give me your gut feeling, your first reaction off this headline. House unanimously passes $67 million gay reparations tax bill. What's your first thought, Jai?
It's like at least 2 million gay people in America, so that's about $30 a person. So that ain't giving them a whole lot. That was my actual first thought. Like, what can 67 million give to all the gay people in America? That was my first.
What about you, Ray? When you hear that headline,
first thought is the word reparations. Second thought is, how do they classify someone as gay, and how do I get a few bucks?
There's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna be signing up for that gay.
I mean,
gay pride walk
just
next
next
year.
Funny thought for me is just how they're gonna classify someone as gay. But yeah, the word reparations sticks out of my mind. It's definitely gonna make me click and figure out what's going on.
What about you, Too Sick? When you first hear that,
like I said, when I first heard the word reparation, I looked at it and I was blown away, because I'm like, we're living in where it took me to, because I was like, we're living in a world where dogs got better rights, gay people got better rights, and black people were just treated. We're treated like worse than animals in America. Yeah. So when I heard that, I was really blown away until I, found out exactly what that meant and what it entailed. So I looked at it a little bit differently now, but I definitely was blown away in the beginning, and I was very pissed off. Not because of not because of the whole gay thing. I'm one of those people. I don't give a fuck who you date, whatever you want to date. You being gay, that has nothing to do with me. You love who you love, and and it took me a while to actually feel that way too. Like at first I was definitely against it. You know what I'm saying? But nowadays it's just it's one of those things where I'm to a point now where I don't give a fuck, like who you sleep with or whatever the case may be.
Sounds like a whole other topic right there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention.
Wait, man, we forgot baby hair over here. Man.
Can I do my job?
Oh, okay.
Thanks. I think I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention because I heard the word reparations. And like immediately in my head, I started thinking, wait a minute, we've been trying to get reparations for some shit far more than being gay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I started thinking, and then I started realizing, to me, all right, that's clickbait, because I started looking into it and really started doing the research about, reparations and what it is and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, this is tax credits. This is just money. This isn't what I'm thinking it is.
Right.
But I'm coming to my brother last because he can be long-winded sometimes.
You got that
powerful brother, though. Proud.
Third eye.
It's the third eye. So that's why I wanted to come to this guy to my right.
There it is.
Give me your thoughts. I'm going to sip on some water while you do this.
Now, when we get to that, we got to always look at the fact that it is clickbait. So I think to even call it reparations is a joke. And I think that's supposed to ignite some type of emotion, especially in what we've been talking about. I guess the subject that's been at hand, especially as of recent. But Okay, so just for our viewers, it appears that everyone who has been married under the term gay marriage, they will now start to receive a tax benefit, because at some point, I believe it's like 2013 or something like that, this was not a tax benefit. They were not recognized because gay marriage was illegal.
Right. They weren't recognized federally.
Right. So they were not able to receive a tax benefit
from being married.
And now that they are legally, making it okay for people to get married who may have an alternative lifestyle, then they're basically saying that we owe you guys $67 million. I don't necessarily, honestly, I really don't care. I still feel the same way. I always say that I'm not into begging, the enemy for anything that they owe me. And when I say the enemy, I don't mean white people. I just mean the system itself. I feel like that if we want to, we all could just decide to flip the monopoly board over and be like, all right, we done with this game. We're going to start our own game or start something new. But this is basically what it is at this moment. And at the end of the day, you have to just, continue to press on, continue to fight.
I want them to pass a bill because anytime you're passing a bill and you're taking a look back at something, that gives us a stronger case for whatever it is we're talking about, whether it's reparations for the black man or whether it's letting some of these dudes out of jail because weed is legal in certain states now. I always draw a correlation between anything when you go and look at, okay, we were wrong there. Let's make that right.
Definitely.
So pass the bill and then let's play on that to get other things correct.
Yeah. And I agree with that in the theory, in the logical analysis of, now since this is the precedent they're setting, now we can bring our grievances and maybe get reparations. But they're going to say, what's the senator who were like, nobody's alive at the time?
I think it was Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell. Whereas, they can say, see, this is how it should be. These people are still alive. They still didn't get their tax credits from 2013, 14, 15, 16. Whereas they're not paying, the gay people from the 1800s that didn't get their tax credits. And so I believe that will be the argument, but I'm definitely in agreement with my brothers that the use of that term in today's climate where reparations has been on the political forefront was strictly to ignite an emotional response in the black community. Be they gave reparations to the gays and they ain't gave it to us.
Right, and we gotta be really careful on how we respond emotionally to things, because if you guys haven't noticed, it's been a lot of mass shootings. It's been even more and more cases where people have been racially profiled, and it's been situations where they're changing laws and laughing at us, such as the Crown Act, such as this law here, where they're making it known as reparations. So we just have to keep our cool, because they know that we are a jubilant people. They know that we are definitely going to be the first group to really raise some hell, and it's almost like they're baiting us. So we have to be systematic. We got to be together, and we can't be chaotic about it if we're going to do it. We got to make sure that it's done in private in terms of how we plan it, instead of telling them exactly what we're going to do next. I think that sometimes people could just put, okay, let's get a Twitter group or let's get a Facebook group and talk about what we're going to do next. And they're watching everything. And so they know exactly what your plan is. But remember, it's chess, not checkers.
I got a question for my brother, Jay. We always talk about, you always talk about how everyone should be armed.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about, I'm not going to mention the state that I was in or whatever, but how do you feel about those states that are openly carry, and the fact that you can purchase a gun like at a gun show in the parking lot, basically?
I agree with the United States Constitution under the Second Amendment that says quite clearly that the freedom of a free state, security being necessary for a free state, the right to. All right, I'm sorry, I'm not as tall. I'm trying to sit up straight. I need to get some vertically challenged microphones over here, man. But I agree that the right to bear arms should not be infringed. Period. I'm getting case after case after case where the crime is owning a firearm. And so now, although there's not necessarily violence in our community, there's still these felony arrests. So they can say, and even though possession of firearm in and of itself is not a, this man just got me a booster seat.
He got him
He got him.
Everybody, if you're at home, we just got him a whoopee cushion.
There you go.
So he can sit on and be a little bit taller.
There you go. Now you can reach the microphone.
If you guys have ever went to IHOP, we put him in a booster seat.
But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with sometimes having to be a little different and sometimes having to use a booster seat so y'all can hear me better. It's cool.
That way the chair doesn't squeak on all the audio.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
we all have shortcomings.
Like your second whistle. But I just, to answer your question, Jamers, I agree that the right to bear arms should not be infringed. Now, I do think you can do things to give up your right, but I think those things should be like a real display of unnecessary violence. Like, not that you use somebody else's information to get this car. Now you got a felony, and now you can never bear arms anymore.
I mean, because I'm going to tell you, like, I went to a gun show, and it was we don't have gun shows here.
Right.
We do, but it's still the 10-day thing.
Okay. Well, I'd never seen a gun show in a town that I went to, and it was a hell of an experience. Like, to see this, like, you would think a gun show here, like, it was people bringing kids in, babies. You know what I'm saying? Like, little 13-year-old boys. Their dad, like, hey, what do you think about this 380 right here? You want it? And it's like, what the fuck? Like a man is getting ready to buy his son a fucking pistol.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At like 12, 13 years old, what is he going to do with it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it was like, just seeing this, and then you see like all these other little booths where you got people selling Nazi memorabilia, you know what I'm saying, swastika flags.
Wow.
It was another lady that had a whole Trump 2020 booth set up with the red Trump hats and all these T-shirts. And I'm just looking around, and then like when you look around, it's like, yeah, you got a couple black people in there that's going in there buying guns, but they're looking for, like, I think they'll check like the proper way is they have to check your ID there, okay? But it's a lot of people that's like, hey, give me $300 and take the gun and put it in the bag, walk past the police when you leave. Then if you don't have no bullets, you can go down there and buy bullets and extended clips, and I had never seen nothing like that before in my whole life. It was just like, if this is going on in all of the other states that are, because I think it's only 5 states that's not openly carrying. It's California, New York, Illinois. What's the other 2?
To me, James, it just sounded like you crossed over the border and you went to America.
Yeah.
That's you were in America,
right?
That's where you went. You went to America,
and they understand that because it was the private weaponry that allowed them to overcome the British army and the British military. And the whole purpose of the United States Constitution is to ensure that the people remain superior to the government. So if the government is the only one with superior weaponry, then there's no way that the people can remain superior to that government. And that's why the Second Amendment was the Second Amendment, not the Third, Fourth, Fifth, or any other, because they know all the freedoms you have in the First Amendment, the freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, can only be protected through force.
But when we think about these mass shootings that are happening, right? And I'm sitting here telling you that you can literally go to a gun show and buy a gun and as many rounds as you want to there and just walk out of the place. And it's policemen working this gun show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're not, you pay your $12 to go in. You go in, you walk around. If you see an AR you want, there's
Grab it.
Pick it up. It'll be $500. You see a Draco you want, pick it up. It'll be about $500.
Well, I mean, we should all
you
agree.
see a Mac 11 you want with a silencer on it, pick it up. It'll be $600.
I mean, we should be able to all agree at this table that guns don't kill people. People kill people.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that is true. What I'm saying is the fact that you can just go in there and there's no I think that.
But that's also the law in that state, though.
But they're not upholding it the right way, and they're not the only people that's doing that. You know what I'm saying? It's like a loophole in their law. Like he said, it's a 10-day thing here. So you can go buy a gun here and pick it up in 10 days. There, even with your ID, they check out your ID and they give you the gun that day.
It used to be a gun show.
Whatever firearm you see that you like in there, you're walking out of there with it.
Yeah, I mean, a gun in society anyway, no matter how you look at it, the possibility of danger is there.
Right.
You know, however, we have to understand that we have to really pay attention to the competency of the people with the gun.
Right.
And that's what it comes down to me. It's finding out and understanding how the gun got in someone's hands and what their intent is and why they chose to use it or not. And I think we have to come to an understanding that, you know, some people logically, intellectually shouldn't be able to have guns, felony or not.
Right.
You know, if you're not capable of having a rationale to carry yourself in a normal way as far as abiding by regular laws, you definitely shouldn't have a gun in your hands.
But it's like, who's to say, right? Who's to say that they're selling these guns to 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds, because they don't card when you go in there.
Well, I mean, you're talking about a flaw at that gun show. No matter what the state,
at all of them.
Nah, I mean you're generalizing the show that you went to.
No,
and you're saying
I'm not.
All of them. Did you go to all
Raymond,
of them?
I'm speaking on facts, nigga. Okay, I talk to people at the gun shows that go to other gun shows.
What gun show are we talking about?
We're talking about a gun show that I went to.
In what state?
I'm not saying the state, but we're talking about the gun show that I went to. Okay, that other people, if they sell guns, they sell guns at other gun shows in other states. So they know how it works, and based on the conversation of the people that I talked to that told me, oh yeah, you go down to that guy right there. I worked with him at a couple of other shows. He sells guns out of the back of his trunk.
Right.
It's you know what I'm saying? It's like they know their community. They know which guy is doing.
Well, we know the local person in the hood that's selling guns. I mean, anybody can get their hands on a gun. So what's the real issue?
Yeah, what are you saying?
The real issue is the simple fact that you got teenagers that are going in there not being carded. Okay, and it's not a big deal if a white man has been to sell them a gun. Okay, they're not being carded, is what I'm saying. So a 16-year-old kid can go in there and buy a gun.
And I think what's bothering James the most, because I can kind of feel where you're going with this, and versus what you're saying, Raymond, it's like, yeah, you can buy guns in the hood, but we all know you buying that strap under the table and you hope it don't have any murders on it. I think what James is saying, at least what I'm picking up, is like, it gives the appearance that you're legally purchasing these guns at a gun show. Like it gives the appearance that you're walking up, there's no issue, no trouble. I can buy this gun. I'm straight out the box. Not like, you know, how we getting guns in our community.
Right, you know what's up.
From, no pun intended, but from like Ray Ray. I'm getting a gun from Ray Ray, and it's like, let me get that for like $200. Ain't no box with it. They giving out guns with boxes and shit. And you can just walk out with it. And it goes to the, like, you know, the mentality of the person getting the gun. So, you know, when I look at it, what does a kid need a pistol for? Like, I understand in some of these states and some of these areas, because I've been around it, you get a rifle, you go hunting. Like, you want to teach a kid how to hunt. I get that. So he's got a little rifle and the kids go hunting. But why does a kid need a 380 pistol? Are
Yeah,
you
but
hunting
there,
with that?
in no state in the United States is a kid allowed to purchase a gun. So what James is saying is a parent is allowed to purchase a gun, and he can, show a kid how to use it, whatnot, in his own home or in the woods. But no kid is allowed in the United States, no matter open carry state or not, to purchase a gun.
And that goes back to my original point: is the mentality of this country, the mentality of the people. And I understand their Second Amendment right, but the mentality of the person to want to teach their kid about this pistol, about this gun, about this hunting, about this shooting, about all this shit. And if we're talking about the Second Amendment so we can have guns, so we can overthrow the government, y'all niggas better try to figure out a way to fly a drone, because we ain't overthrowing this government with our fucking guns, because they got shit now.
Yeah,
it's different.
Shit, but
it's
you
different.
know what's in that government? People, right? So if half the people want to overthrow the government, then at least a quarter of the people working for the government are going to be sentimentally on the side of the people that want to overthrow it. So there's other ways that you can overthrow it. And then, all those drones and stuff, you still would be having to use them on U.S., territory. And that would be just a whole different setup that would then open up the door to allow for international support for one side or the other. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. So just to say that, now that the U.S. military is so mechanized and their weaponry is so superior, we can't do anything against them, that's not necessarily
We need
accurate.
to just throw that whole overthrow the government shit out and stop talking about it as a whole. I mean, if you want to overthrow the government, start in your own fucking home. I've been doing a good job these last couple weeks and not cussing, but I'm passionate about this. So listeners, excuse me. But bottom line is, man, I said it last week, I'm going to say it again. Start in your own home. Overthrow your debt. Overthrow a lack of intellectual value. Overthrow sin.
And I think what Ray's saying too, and I agree with, is that there are many acts of war. I think that we always think first thing when we say clap back at the government is, go in there, walk into the White House with a gun. But that doesn't work for everybody. My mentality has always been create acts of war. It could be drinking water all day instead of drinking soda. It could be going to a farmer's market versus going to a GMO filled grocery store.
Amen.
I think that acts of war can happen in our daily lives, and as long as we continue to take those steps, then yeah, we will live in a country where people are looking at it like guns. Like, who hunts animals anymore? Like, we all eat plants. So I think that people will begin to get pushed in further and further and further away from the norm, but we have to create the trend. Yeah. We got to create the trend of how to present better ways and better actions of acts of war, so that we can make sure that we're focused.
Yeah, and I just want to be clear. I'm not for violence. I just understand the history of this nation. And the history, and when you compare this nation to other nations, in particular European nations, most of these nations do not have the multiracial history that we have, nor did they become a nation in the way that these United States became a nation.
Right.
And so
I think we got to stop saying we're a nation. This is the United States Incorporated. Well, this is a business.
I get that.
That's why we have a president.
That's why I said
it's like Coca-Cola has a president too, right?
Yeah, but the United States became
this is a business, man.
A country.
This is not a country.
Oh, well, they
this
became
is United States Incorporated.
Whatever
and I think
did, they became that through war.
No,
period,
we've gotten it confused. If you go to other countries, they have prime ministers. They have different leaders. When you could call when you have a staff, an executive staff, a judiciary branch, this is literally a business. we gotta keep it real
through war. That's the whole point. My point is that is the history of this nation. So when we see people preparing in that way, getting a 13-year-old a 380, and to say why when people make that, why would somebody need this? Why would somebody need that? That's like the highest form of privilege, right?
Right.
Because those of us who are living the life that would require that level of protection, and you're saying, why would we need it? It's your privilege to not have to require the protection that we require. But we require this protection.
I just think that even when you see, I think the part, like, because I'm with you on everybody should be armed, but it definitely changed my perspective when I seen a 13-year-old man looking at a 380. I mean, a 13-year-old boy looking at a 380, and his dad is like, hey, you want this one or you want that one? And I'm like, damn, because I know at 13.
I'm trying to figure out, did you know he was 13 or how did you know he was 13 years old?
I'm estimating he was a kid. He could have been 9. You know what I'm saying? But he wasn't 21 and he wasn't 18.
First time you ever held a gun in your hands, James. How old were you?
I'm a different story. You know what I'm saying? So we're not. I mean, I was a kid. When I was a kid, I stole my dad's gun and I took it to school.
What about you, Jai? First time you ever held a gun in your hand?
I was 14. I shot a 38 special in Emporia, Virginia.
What about you, Jay?
Probably like maybe 11, 12. One of my homeboys, we used to, well, actually maybe younger. We kind of had this gun. It looked like an ink pen. We can go to the
MK. What about you?
And shoot it.
So I think when we look at it, it's twofold. I'll give you the answer. But the first time I ever held a gun in my hand, it was a pellet gun. But it's still a gun. It's still a concept. So at 12 and no, I'm gonna take it back. I was probably 10 years old because I remember this. I was in Alabama for the summer in the South, and we were shooting cans. So the mentality of the gun in this country starts fucking young.
First time I ever held a gun in my hand was Nintendo. Had a controller that was a gun.
Yeah.
And I used to fire a duck hunt.
Yeah.
Right.
I used to fire that. I had to be about 7 years old.
Right.
So what I think Jamer's point and kind of infiltrates is the mentality that we can't control the fact that there is entertainment value to death and to killings, but we'd like to control how it actually happens in society. Mm-hmm. But what we're doing as a society and as a nation is perpetuating our demise via our children by allowing them. And my son, if you're hearing this, get off the video game now. I'm gonna tear your ass up. To be a part of games that allow them to practice what they will end up doing as an adults in real life.
Right. So it gets to the point of when we see these mass shootings and all these tragedies, and people are like, "Oh, I can't believe this. I can't believe this." You got to be able to believe it. You got to look at it from the perspective of guns have been put on us as kids.
Because and also the way they sell them to you, like this. I'm telling you, this was like an eye opener for me. I look at guns totally different now, and the way they sell them to you, they explain certain things as like
the amount of damage it can do,
the amount of damage that it can do, and how you can get away with murder. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to use this one right here. Mm-hmm. This one right here, you can do this and do that, and you can get away with it. This is untraceable.
Right.
This is how they're speaking to you as an adult.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure there are children that are coming up because it was children there. So it's children that are coming up around these people that happen to know these things, and that's kind of like if you look at a lot of the mass shooters and whatever that we had. These are people that are very familiar with weapons.
Right.
From don't matter from how far back you go, these aren't first time gun people. These are people that's been around guns in some kind of way their whole life.
This is not some dude who got mad at something, went to the gun show, got a gun. No, this is somebody who's been preparing, knows how to prepare, knows what bump stocks are.
How do we know that they're not agents? Implants.
Yeah, we really don't, because the Dallas shooting of those cops in 2017.
I mean, most of these guns are like army weapons, right?
Some of them, but on social media, on Twitter, some of the Black Lives Matter people was like, man, some dudes just hopped out of a van and they letting off over here.
Right.
And then they come down. Now remember, Alton Sterling happened in Louisiana. Philando Castile happened in Wisconsin or Minnesota. But CNN is in Dallas. Why is CNN in Dallas? The same time these 5 cops get shot, and then they had a picture of a black man with a rifle,
right?
Who
all
they put out there like, oh, this is a guy that did it, and they like, no, I done already gave my rifle to the police before the shooting happened, so it couldn't be me. And you know the eyewitness accounts versus, you know, the guy they said did it, who they sent the robot in to blow up.
Right.
You know, these things aren't adding up.
I mean, especially, what tripped me out, man, is us brothers, you know, most of us had just went to Vegas, and then, you know, they had the Vegas shooting.
Oh.
I mean, and the amount of evidence from the people that were there, from the eyewitnesses that were there.
I think they just want to sweep that one under the rug.
I'm glad you said that.
Oh, my gosh.
Explain that guy's background.
That guy was a normal gambler, you know, who walked into the hotel with 50 weapons.
No, explain his background.
You know,
explain his background on weapons.
You know, but unfortunately, I think he was a mastermind and had purchased these weapons legally, and was known to have mental deficiencies, and which was the crazy part about it. Back to the mental health piece, he wasn't mentally stable to do a lot of things in life, but he was mentally capable of purchasing 50 guns legally. And for him to get help, he had. I mean, he was a multimillionaire, you know. But the eyewitness accounts of what happened in Las Vegas totally contradict the police saying one gentleman shot at this crowd, you know, which is unbelievable. But I mean, we really have to settle in on the fact, man, that you know, we as a society are publicizing death more than ever. We are creating a propaganda that is now out of control, and now we're sorrowful about it, and we're trying to find a way to get it under control. But taking guns away, in my opinion, is not the way. It's something I personally don't agree with, you know, and it's something that I believe that every man, you know, and single woman should have.
What do you think the solution is? How do we change the narratives on guns in this country?
I think you have to always start with education. I think we need to start teaching about guns in school, you know, and I think we need to start putting people through classes in terms of the usage of guns, and we really
get back to it.
Yeah. We need to do it. I mean, a child in elementary school or homeschool, you know, you need to know what guns are all about, and you need to know what they're for, and you need to prepare yourself to be a, you know, potential husband, a potential leader of a household, and you need to be armed.
I think that's right. I think, like, if they're gonna allow people to have these weapons, like in these openly carry states, it definitely should be some type of classes, or, you know, just like kind of like a checkup.
Yeah.
See where you're at mentally. You know what I'm saying? And knowing that, okay, we checked him out. He's good. He's good for the next two years. Kind of like, it's funny, they'll check out your car here in California. You got to get a smog check, every 2 years?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Why is that important? Because they're concerned about the air that we breathe in, the pollution, and all this other stuff. And if you think about a guy that's owning over 50 weapons, how does this guy bring them in? Let's talk to him. Let's figure out where he's at mentally, and then I think that'd be a lot different to have people qualify all over again, at least every couple of years.
Jai, I'm going to go to you in a minute, but like for me, my solution, and I'm pretty sure because, you know, you support the Second Amendment, I'm not saying that I don't, but my solution is I think we need more of a comprehensive background check, mental check. Right. Just, I think it's too easy.
It's way
right
too
now.
easy.
I mean, in the state of California is doing different things. I mean, you know, I have a gun. And, you know, I got to take the little test that they give me, basically the common sense test. Oh, where should your gun be when you're not, you know, put it on the top or whatever. Yeah, cool, great. I passed that thing without even studying because it's a common sense test. But I think there should be more of a look into your background and all the things that, you know, before you are able to buy a gun.
I'm going to tell y'all this. don't think it'll stop the mass shootings. I don't think it'll stop the black on black shootings. I don't think it'll stop anything.
I think if you got 50 guns and you got to requalify every year, you got to sit in front of somebody to requalify every year. Wow. I definitely think that it would change the dynamics of people buying guns and what they have. Absolutely.
But think about it. Police officers, when they have to train and they have to qualify before they can get their weapon, what if instead of giving me that bullshit common sense test, I actually got to go do shit with the gun, fire the gun, know how to work the gun, pass the test?
You guys also have to realize in the environment we grew up in, it's so easy to get a gun.
But it's easy because of those simple principles.
But it's not our environment. The mass shootings aren't coming from our environment. For us, it's easy to get a gun, like you said earlier, from Ray Ray. But my man who's doing these mass shootings, they're getting this shit legally.
Right.
That's where the problem is.
And getting them from Ray Ray will be a lot harder because at the end of the day, how that works, I don't know if you're familiar, but how that works is people send girls in the gun shops all day long. I was in there seeing 10 girls in the gun shop here. Okay? They buy the gun and report the gun stolen. Then they give it to a nigga that may sell it to Ray Ray. That's how that works. So if you have to,
also burglaries,
burglaries too. But if you have to qualify every 2 years for those weapons, okay, that also we'll know exactly how many stolen guns are on the street or not,
right?
Because they'll be unaccounted for. Because you know why? This person Sam owns 50 guns. He brought all 50 in here and qualified.
Until a nigga in the hood start doing all these mass shootings with a gun he bought from Ray Ray. The problem is these gun shows.
Right.
The problem is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The problem is that all the racism, all the hatred, all the drug use that we've allowed to become commonplace, well, racism started, but before that was like our ill, right? People were honest enough. People left their houses open. Drug use wasn't rampant in our communities. That is the problem because we've always had guns in the black community. If you ask any of your grandparents, they all grew up with guns in the household, including Martin Luther King grew up with guns in the household. Why weren't there these mass shootings? People just randomly going out to get people because that sickness. That mental health that we are not addressing. We keep attacking this issue from the gun. We want to attack the gun, get the gun off the street. Well, y'all haven't figured out the racist police problem. And you want me to take away the only thing that's ever protected my people from racist police. You haven't figured out the nigga in the street problem. But you want me to give up my gun and you ain't even got the nigga in the street that doesn't care about my life or yours to give his gun up. And so I think it's other motivations, not the safety of people. It's the control.
It's a business at the end of the day,
And
listen, I'm going to agree with you because for once I understand what the hell you're talking about. It is the business. Right. Because when Martin Luther King had a gun, he didn't have a fucking AK-47 underneath his mattress.
He had a pistol.
Right.
Exactly.
But Malcolm had
but
AK-47.
But why do we need that? Why do we have military weapons?
We now live in a society where everybody is not content with what they have. So it's always bigger, better, faster, stronger. It's being marketed to you on a daily basis.
And I guess that applies to guns too.
Well, are you 100% sure, MK, that the white masses won't stand up in the near future and say we're taking our country back? You niggas better either be slaves or get killed.
Am I 100% sure that
won't happen?
It's already happened.
Well, that's my point, and it's how are we to protect ourselves in that situation?
I think okay, so I see where you're going, and it's almost apples and oranges. But yes, I'm not 100% that white people might rise up and say, give us our shit back. And yeah, we need to be able to protect ourselves. Yeah. But what I'm talking about here is how we protect ourselves. In what manner? Do I need to have a fucking banana clip? Do I need to have the AK-47? Do I need that?
If your enemy has it, then yes. When they can tell me.
But I don't like that because then we're talking about no one's collect. Like, for example, when the Black Panthers all had guns, they would have weekly meetings, sometimes bi-weekly meetings. Sometimes they would meet 3 times a week in terms of how they would act with their guns when they were using them. I don't agree with it's 20 people living on your street with guns and you never even say hi to them. Yeah, so exactly. It's not even why would I just want to be every man for myself? If I'm gonna have guns, we gotta unite like an army
that's
and then put in some real work. But I don't. It don't matter if we got guns or we fighting like the Chinese army at one point where everybody had martial arts. Actually, in certain countries, I believe in Great Britain, they don't even have the police officers don't even have guns.
They do now.
So I think that when it comes to just being organized, I think that's our issue. When it comes to mass shootings, that's not our issue. We can't control a mass shooting. You guys got to realize that some of the things that happen, some of the biggest catastrophes are still up for debate as to who actually did them.
Yeah.
There's many theories that can go out, and we won't go down that road. But without organization, without weaponizing our minds, without practicing proper acts of war, then I believe that we're always going to be trying to do apples to oranges, and it's a weak argument.
I agree with it to a certain level.
Let me just say this real quick, James. Mm-hmm. To answer your question, your firearm safety certificate that you get when you purchase a firearm is only good for 5 years, so you do have to re-up on that every 5 years. And that is, when they'll do another check and whatnot. So I did
that's just to purchase another weapon. Am I correct? Yeah, it doesn't have shit to do with the ones you have.
You have to have those two purchases.
Let me ask y'all a question. I want to ask y'all a question.
Yeah. All right, that doesn't have anything to do with the ones you already have. If the ones you already have, you already have. But my thing is qualifying them, bringing these people in every few years, evaluating them. You know what I'm saying? Letting them shoot, talking to them. Because if you got I know people, you may just have 1 or 2 guns. I know people with thousands of weapons.
Yeah, but do you think those people, or let's say our people, you might have a gun that has been passed down to you from your great grandfather and now it's illegal. Now, then what do? Do you want to turn that gun in and then you want to turn it over to the law enforcement?
No.
Or do you want to keep it?
If it's been passed down, I think it's cool that it's been passed down, but I think at the same time, if they want to make this shit fair, you got to have these people go in and qualify, man, and figure out where they at mentally.
So you're okay with unfortunately disqualifying yourself of having an illegal weapon that has been passed down to you, so now you got to turn in your great grandfather.
That's not what I said. I said that you need to go down there and qualify with the weapon that your grandfather passed down to.
But what if it's illegal?
Well, how can it be illegal?
Because sawed-off shotguns can be illegal now.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't have a sawed-off shotgun in your house, but many people know your great-grandfather may have passed it down to you.
It's certain things, it's certain ways to modify them according to California standards.
And if you don't turn that in a certain amount of time,
you don't have to turn it in. You have to modify that weapon and make it to a California
What you're saying is you want to give the government more power.
No, you're not listening to what I'm saying.
I am listening to what you're saying.
He's saying turn in a weapon.
No, I'm not. But you're saying you want the government to evaluate people.
Yeah, it's like contradictory. I don't.
So you want the government to have more power. You want more laws in place that penalize people for not getting this evaluation every 2 years.
How many black people do you think? How many black people do you think own firearms legally?
A lot. I'm part of the National African American Gun Owners, Black Gun Owners and Educators. I think most black people who own guns own them legally.
That 12 group of niggas that you're talking about, I'm talking about realistic.
The vast majority of black people who own guns own them legally.
I've never met a whole lot of black people that own guns legally, and I'm being completely honest with you.
I agree.
And I'm talking about in this state of California.
I agree.
Well, this is a different.
Do you agree?
I will say that people who own them illegally probably use them the most.
Right. Well, not necessarily.
on other people.
Not necessarily, because those people aren't the people that you see on the news.
I don't watch the news.
Those aren't the people that you see that's doing these massive shootings.
I know somebody.
The people that you see that's doing these massive shootings, those people are actually owners of their own gun.
Yeah, but what about the dude that just shot 6 people the other day who was a gang member?
Jai, here's a question for you. Just to break up the monotony of the group, okay? Real quick. Jai, someone does not have a gun license. However, it's clear as day that they're protecting themselves.
Right.
Let's say someone breaks into your home and you don't have a gun license and you shoot that person.
You don't need a gun license in your home.
So let's say you're outside and somebody's attacking you, clearly attacking you, and you don't have a gun license and you shoot that person.
When we say gun license, are we saying to carry?
Concealed carry permit.
Because I think he's
what you mean.
Exactly.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. If there's a threat to your life, you can respond legally with whatever threat that you're being faced with.
So they don't have a gun, but they,
on some Trayvon Martin, if they trying to kill you, but don't have a gun, you can use if lethal force is being used against you, you can use lethal force to defend yourself.
So just in rationale, going back just a little bit, our brother Nipsey Hussle, if someone had a gun, most people around him, he was known to employ felons. If someone had a gun and they were a felon and shots rang off, it would have been legally justified for someone to shoot back.
Yeah, but the DA probably would have charged him with felon with a firearm, but they wouldn't have charged him with the homicide.
That's bullshit.
Okay.
And that's what the whole thing with Nipsey talked about in the racks in the middle. When he said, if the people catch me with it, they're gonna send me off to prison.
right.
Judge ain't sympathizing, and that's what it is. That's the catch-22 we live in. It's like, and that's why they told everybody not to have guns, because the police had raided that shop so many times, and the only crime they found evidence of was felon with a firearm. And so they're like, now we making legit money. Let's everybody take the guns away. And then you see what happens. So it's like, what do we do in this scenario where the law-abiding black man, we are the one that has the problem. The law-abiding black man, we are the one in the conundrum because we want to protect ourselves and our family, but we also know, LAPD did 120,000 stops. Just the Metro Division, these 400 cops did 120,000 stops in 2017 and 18. 49% of which were black people, even though we only make up 9% of the city. So, and they found 1,500 total guns, and they promote that as, they did good work, even though they found guns, in like 1.5% of the times that they made these stops. But that's the reality of this gun control movement, and it's another time that like the white liberal establishment is acting like they're doing this for the black community because there is so much gun violence in the black community, but because they haven't fixed the racism in the police and the policing for profit, the prosecution for profit, by them asking for more gun laws, they're saying, police, go get these niggas, go lock these niggas up when they violate these new gun laws. And that's what's happening. That's what's getting our people taken off the street. But to answer your question, you can defend yourself, and then you would, potentially be subject to the felon with a firearm. But that's 1623 versus, manslaughter, 3611, or murder, 15 to 25 to life.
Listeners, if you heard that, protect yourself, especially in your own home.
Please do.
Especially in your own home.
Listen, we are not for sale.